Messaging to your team today?
Recalibration, reconnection.
When you are telling tough truths to your team, how important is it that those truths are delegated equally? That it has to, does it have to hit the top, the stars, all the way down, and kind of how did you balance it?
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, I think too today was, for myself, I'm always going to look in the mirror first, and I think it's easy as a player, as a coach, to say, well, it's this guy's fault, or it's we're not doing this because X, Y, and Z, and so we had a great meeting as a staff this morning. Came in super early, and we met with the players, and it was very positive, and it was also listening. It was also for our staff, myself, to listen to the players and what they need.
When you had told us that, kind of in the heat of the battle and the emotions, that it was going to be really uncomfortable, in that moment I think a lot of us took that it was going to be a lot of yelling and finger pointing and that type of a talk. Was that not the tone?
No, I didn't mean it that it was going to be uncomfortable. The truth is uncomfortable, and so you have to put everything out there. That's all it is.
The players that you referred to not using their names in terms of having repeated, whether lack of effort or mistakes in your system, after today, are they aware of whatever that you perceive them to be?
I think they are, and I think the group's aware. I mean, the group feels it. They're on the court together. They're in the huddles together. I don't. There wasn't anything that needed to be addressed that wasn't addressed. There's times as a coach you can't address everything every day in front of the group. It's just not how this works. My staff and we do a good job of if there's something that needs to be addressed in the moment, it gets addressed. I don't feel like we live in a passive aggressive environment. So, but sometimes you need to have a bigger setting, and again, it was as much listening for us as it was anything else.
Jake Lurvey used the word disconnect, and he wasn't quite sure what it was. Do you feel like after today there at least some better understanding, whether you said players were talking to the staff as much as staff was talking to the players, better understanding of what's missing from both sides?
Yeah, I do.
Aside from effort, what things can this team do to get better defensively?
I really believe in just getting back to basics and understanding the needs of the team and the needs of each guy for creating. I mean, the word that we used a lot today was just creating more clarity. I know I played, and what can seem very simple up there is not simple once you get in real time and live action. So we gotta, and it's not going to happen in a day. We got to get back to building our defensive fundamentals.
Was that the feedback you received from players? Was that what they expressed to you?
Yeah, but we that was priority number one for me. Role clarity. I think since we've gotten Braun back, we haven't been as organized offensively. Too many random possessions, so that's on me. So it's those three things: defensive clarity, role clarity, and offensive organization.
With all that being said, how does that change? Because now Austin is out for at least a month. How does it change? Did it change the messaging at all, or how does it change what you guys do going forward?
It doesn't change the messaging. I mean, we've been dealing with this all season, so it's not. I don't look at this as any different. We've had guys out. Braun was out for the first 4 weeks of the season, so I think the nature of this team sport is that we need all participants giving their best at all times, and if you can get that, you have a chance to win regardless of injuries.
You talked about uncomfortable truths, uncomfortable choices that players need to make. As a coach, are there ever uncomfortable choices that you need to make in terms of either the way you talk to these guys, floor combinations that maybe you're not as comfortable with, but this player brings X and I know I need X, things like that?
Yeah, again, it's hard in terms of lineups. Our guys upstairs, have told us 250 minutes is like this sort of target number for when a lineup data set starts to normalize. And so, you can look at 11. Oh, this 11 minutes. It's like there's one lineup that, oh, this is 11 minutes, and it was like, yeah, well, we played small ball for one game, and they played well that game, and it's like, you can't take a ton from that. But there's certainly trends that we're looking at, and we've kind of made some decisions on about where we're going to go.
How was obviously that bad news with Austin and his cat being out for an extended period of time? Like, how do you kind of like communicate with your team and expect different things from your team based off of the fact that you're not going to have them for about a month?
What do you mean?
In terms of like, he's a core part of what you had going, especially offensively. I figure Austin being out might change some things. Like, how does Austin being out for an extended period of time like change like how you need to get certain things out of certain guys on this team?
We just need our guys to be stars in their roles. Certainly from a top-end talent standpoint, it diminishes that, but it doesn't change the non-negotiables or how we're trying to play.
JJ, after listening to your staff and listening to your players, as the team resets, how are you challenging yourself to reset?
I challenge myself every day. I mean, it's like you're. This is a position where you're constantly absorbing information. You're absorbing what is happening on the court, and so you're making different challenges to yourself every day.
Have you talked to Austin since the diagnosis, and what did you tell him? If so, I assume you talked.
Yeah, we talked.
I'd imagine he's pretty frustrated. What did you kind of tell him?
I think the biggest thing right now is, well, at least yesterday when I talked to him, was just I'm bummed for him. I feel for him. So, there's like when you have a injury that's a longer term injury than just say like an ankle sprain or a tweaked hamstring where you're going to be back in a week. Like there's a little bit of a grieving process, and I think there's an importance in respecting that grieving process. But I'm bummed for him.
Was he in film today with you guys?
Yeah, everybody was in.
Can he still be valuable? I mean, he's played such an important role behind the scenes with voice and stuff like that. Is he going to be valuable in that way as a leader still during this stretch?
Yeah, I mean, he has to be. He has to be.
You mentioned the offensive possessions being kind of jumbled since LeBron has come back. I don't mean this like a glass half full version of Austin being out, but can Austin's absence in some ways help you, I don't know, iron out some of the stuff with LeBron and Luka just because there's one fewer person that you're negotiating in the mix?
Yes, it kind of uncomplicates certain things for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
How would you describe the energy in the meeting that you guys had today, and what can you share with us about what was said or what needed to be said?
It was good, I think we just more focused on us, of course. We kind of, review our goals, when we started in the season. We had the championship habit, communication, the championship shape and all that. We kind of reviewed it again and then tried to make sure, everybody understand what's meaning and this and that, more details. So I think it was a good meeting.
JJ, without naming names, called out several players for, in his estimation, not doing their jobs. How do you feel like the group received that, and did that need to be softened or readdressed today after he did it with reporters?
No, I think it's on all of us, like literally even the meeting we talk about, it's not just, we don't point at each other, we just talk about everybody, players, coaches, we just gotta, kind of tighten up. We had a good stretch in the beginning, and now we kind of, I don't know, we relaxed or we kind of, got tired of winning, but we just stopped doing what we're supposed to do. So that's what we watched today, We didn't really watch film like that, but we had the, review. We had to review our, things that we're supposed to do throughout the season.
You've seen a lot in your time since being traded from the Wizards here. There's still a lot of season left. Because of that experience you've had already, Does that give you confidence that there's still plenty of time to kind of get this thing right back on track?
No, yeah, we of course we fine. We just gotta kind of reset everything. I think I've been in the league for 7, 8 years, whatever, 7 years. It's always happening, like it's not always good, we have it sometime like this, but we can't have it longer than it's supposed to be. We gotta kind of turn on one again. We're gonna have a long home games coming, so we have to focus on that. We lost all these last 3 home games, right? Yeah, that's not acceptable. We have to focus on that. We gotta protect our home.
What do you have to do better?
I think I just gotta bring my energy. I'm not really vocal guy, you guys, but I think in the game, the time, I kind of, not doing the things that I'm supposed to do. Going in the offense rebound, getting back to the defense, those kind of stuff. Little stuff gonna help the team. So I think those kind of stuff, I think I have to more focus on. Bringing the energy, being physical, those kind of stuff gonna help, I think.
What do you think needs to improve defensively? There was some slippage because you had some really good spurts early.
I think communication is more kind of we missing right now. We have to simplify and clarify our game plan. First of all, and then from there we gotta communicate. Because now a lot of games on, and we can't really practice. So those film sessions before the game, during the game, the communication gonna be important. So I think those kind of we kind of missing now. So yeah, we have to get back to that.
Who was vocal in the meeting today? Where JJ told us that this was, it wasn't just him talking. Players were speaking.
No, everybody. He let everybody talk. Literally, everybody each. So JJ was of course talking the whole time, but everybody, players, like just whatever they think, they share with the whole team. Yeah.
You guys are trying to solve one problem in terms of energy and stuff like that, but you get the news now that Austin's not playing for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that hurt the most, or in what ways does that hurt this team the most, and how do you kind of try to make up for that?
Yeah, it's tough, especially I know calf injury, it's not a joke, he has to take care of the first, but the team, yeah, of course we're gonna miss him, his energy and what he brings on the offense. So, but this happened before too, we were missing Braun, the first literally 12 games, and somebody had to step up, and then we kind of did. So this time, Austin's out, we gotta focus. Somebody gotta step up, and we gotta play for each other. We still, I know we care that he's out, but like we have to focus on us right now, and trying to get get back on our track, and once he's back, we ready to roll again.
What's the challenge for you in terms of playing with the kind of energy that you want to play with, whether you're getting the shots that you feel like you should be getting or not?
I mean, yeah, you guys can see watching the game. I don't know what to say about that part, but like that's how the game is right now. We talk about it. We just got, when we play together, when we play for each other, it makes it easier for everybody, and we're winning. So I think we got to find a way again to kind of do that and get back on the track.
怪我してた鼠径部の部分は今どんな状態ですか？
大丈夫です。はい。しっかりちょっとずつ直して、全部完璧ではないですけど、ちょっとずつ直して頑張って。はい。
試合によってボールが回ってくるとき、回ってこないとき、そういういろいろあったりするんですけれども、そういう部分にアジャストしていく上で、今一番難しいことってどういう部分ですか？
そうですね、自分の何ができるかですよね。シュートもらわないときにどれぐらいどのことをしてチームに貢献できるかってことを自分のプレースタイルでもないことをやらなきゃいけないところもあると思うんで、そういうところを意識してやってます。Thank you. Appreciate it.
We've talked a lot about the energy around this team when it was good and positive times. Now that there's been some losing, you guys had a meeting today. What was the energy like? What needed to be said, and how did it get received?
Hold on. That's a lot.
It is 3.
You bombarded me with a lot. It's like you gotta start over. You just came in with a lot.
Okay, let's start with this one.
Let me start with this. It was a great practice.
Okay.
And it's never a bad time here, whether we lose or win. So you guys, that sound like you having a bad day. And we ain't having a bad day. We never have a bad day. Come on, man. I play for the Los Angeles Lakers, man. Every day is a good day. You know what I'm saying? We waking up under some freaking banners where it's motivational, and you know what I'm saying? Every day is a new opportunity to get better, 1% better. So bad day, good day, we don't have those.
Your coach told us you planned for it to be a bad day. He said it'd be an uncomfortable day for the team.
And y'all bought into that.
Please listen.
Man, y'all
Totally, man. Believed him.
I'm not gonna tell y'all. I'm not saying anything.
With the news, my day's gotten better, by the way, since that. Thank you, I appreciate it.
See?
With the losing Austin, though, obviously his energy around this group. Where does that hurt most, and how are you guys going to make up for what he brings?
Like I said, we've been playing with, guys that's been missing, especially our superstars, through AR, Luka, and LeBron. We've only played with the full team for 2 games this season, and we don't really know what that looked like, having the full team, and especially facing adversity like how we're facing now. I feel like, JJ has put us in positions and have our mental stamina to where it's at, to where, we're not always going to have our guys. And, he's going to coach the group the right way and, make sure we are in good positions to win these games. And I just feel like that's how we, woke up this morning and how we're motivated as well to, to continue on the season no matter who's out there.
Can this team be a better defensive team, and how do you guys go about doing that?
Most definitely. Just really communication and accountability out there that we're trying to emphasize, and really just we're still trying to get to know each other. Like I said, it's different people out there every night. It's different groups out there almost every night, having different guys out there, and really just trying to feel each other out in a sense, just contributing the right way and knowing roles, as in sticking to them, especially when we get deflated in these games. When we're battling.
The Rockets rebounded you guys by almost 20. What do you think was the difference, and what could be done to correct that move?
That's a simple error. Just really simple mistakes, as in boxing out. Second effort. That's something where our offense weren't going the way it was going, and Houston Rockets is them being the team they are, crashing the glass. We just weren't that focused on really trying to lock in and do the little details, that's what exploited us, especially in the end.
You mentioned communication defensively, and I know that you've kind of taken that role on as the starting center of this team. Like, how do you feel like you can enhance that and be the leader of that from this point forward?
I'm holding my guys accountable, especially starting with me. But just holding the team accountable and just letting it be there, letting there be their trust barrier. My bad. Where we, no matter how the game is going, we stick to these principles no matter what, and knowing that our guys, no matter if we're not touching the ball, we're not in rhythm, no matter what it is, we stick to this role, on not approaching the game a different way. This is how we play. This is how we're going to play on defense, hard and second efforts.
Is that the most difficult part, just the idea of trusting a process when it doesn't feel to be working in a moment?
No, I won't say that. We're all in this together. I mean, when we in these away games, when playoffs and all these stuff start happening in these environments, is kicking our tails. We only got each other. So, us is what we're gonna have to rely on. When telling the group today, togetherness is gonna have to be emphasized. And, to where it looks like an exaggeration, where it becomes a habit. And that's what winners do, And it's pretty easy for this team, it's just that there's always a different group out there. And we're gonna get it for sure, as in, just being out there for each other.
You mentioned that you're going to hold teammates accountable. What does that look like?
I mean, just me starting off with examples, just me, leading by example, as in doing what I'm supposed to do. Finishing my role the right way, accepting my role, no matter the situation, the games, and things like that. That's the best way to be accountable. You being the example.
Do you are you comfortable enough at this stage of the season when it comes to that accountability? If you're seeing something going to LeBron James and saying, LeBron, I think you did this incorrectly. Luka, I think you weren't where you need to be. Like, and do you feel like that's your job on defense?
My job is just to correct everybody on defense, just to correct the right coverages. And, there's a thing where personnel, not everybody could go up to LeBron and think they could tell LeBron how to do certain things and, do certain ways. It's all about personnel and knowing and taking constructive criticism. That's all about togetherness. And, I think once we get a feel of how to really bring each other up, we're going to get rolling here in a second. I just feel like we, as a team, collectively talking and community, it's getting there, to be honest. It's just that we always have different groups out there every day. So
you lose 3 in a row, all of a sudden everyone thinks you're disconnected. How connected is this team and why?
We're really connected. For a team to come in and, just finally get a load off and just, coach just giving us a day where, he wants us to not even think about basketball, but come back in here early and get some work done. And the intensity we had, I think we stepping in the right step, as in, just washing our hands free from all that and, just stepping back up, getting 1% better today.
DeAndre, the reality is your team's not going to be together for at least a month, it looks like. How do you take that and say, despite that, you're going to have something consistent to hang your hat on the defensive end?
Yeah, it's hard to, let little things like that deflate us because that's how the season is. You really just sticking to what I was here to be for in general. Just being that guy as an anchor, and then you have team goals. This team wants to win, and I don't think nothing's going to change that no matter who's out there. JJ's big on not listening to the outside noise, and we're following his footsteps to where it's contagious and how locked in and tunnel vision he is on this team, and I really appreciate him as well because he really believes in us and me, especially. I could feel it. And when we have games like this in the city and everybody think we're down bad, losing 2-3 in a row, and he's pumped up and ready, taking these L's and learning from him and just really talking as a team and embracing it. It's adversity. It's going to happen, and I just can't wait to see how we bounce back from this.
Thanks, DA.
Thank you, guys.